by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
6:31 on your Wednesday morning. A man is under arrest for stabbing to death of another man at a home on North 9th Street in Bozeman yesterday. Coming up, why the victim may be well known in the community.
Breaking his silence, I'm Hanadoba with more on President Trump voicing support for embattled Alabama Republican Senate candidate Roy Moore.
Good morning. Glad to have you with us. Our top local story for you. One man is dead and another in custody after a fatal stabbing in Bozeman yesterday. MTN's Caitlin Corbett has the details.
I'm standing here on the 500 block of North 9th Street, where investigators have been on the scene all day after they responded just before noon to a reported stabbing. When they arrived, they found one man dead inside of the residence. Since then, the Gallatin County Sheriff has arrested 37-year-old Tanner Franks, and he is being charged with deliberate homicide. That's all we have right now, but the police department is holding a press conference tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., and we will have the latest for you then. Reporting in Bozeman, Caitlin Corbett, MTN News.
And President Trump is defending Alabama Republican Senate candidate Roy Moore, despite multiple allegations of sexual misconduct against him. The president spoke out shortly before taking off for Thanksgiving at Mar-a-Lago. This as Moore defends himself as he continues to fight back against those claims. CBS's Hanadoba has our latest.
48 hours. He totally denies it. He says it didn't happen.
Speaking from the White House lawn Tuesday, President Trump defended Roy Moore, the embattled Republican Senate candidate in Alabama.
We don't need a liberal person in there, a Democrat.
The president's remarks came on the same day Moore took to the Alabama cable network, pushing back against the women accusing him of sexual assault, most of whom were teenagers at the time.
I never dated underage women, and I never engaged in sexual misconduct with anybody.
I moved on her like a bitch, and she was married.
The president, who was also accused of sexual misconduct during the presidential campaign, questioned the timing of the accusations.
Hey, 40 years is a long time. He's run 8 races, and this has never come up.
And took particular aim at Moore's Democratic opponent, Doug Jones.
I've looked at his record. It's terrible in crime. It's terrible in the border. It's terrible in the military.
Ivanka Trump says there's a special place in hell for people who prey on children.
In his latest campaign ad, Jones is now using the words of the president's allies, including his own daughter, Ivanka Trump, to woo Republican voters in Alabama.
I've been talking about issues consistently in this race. I've yet to see that from Roy Moore.
With the state's special election now 3 weeks away, President Trump has left the door open for campaigning for Moore. He says he'll make an announcement about that next week. Hanadoba, CBS News.
Now, many Republicans in Washington have called for Moore to leave the race. Both Moore and Jones are vying to fill Attorney General Jeff Sessions' old Senate seat. And in other national news, CBS News fired correspondent Charlie Rose yesterday over the allegations of sexual misconduct. Now, just hours after CBS anchor Charlie Rose was fired, 3 women who asked not to be identified said that they experienced unwanted sexual contact from Rose while working at CBS News. 2 of the women said they were not ready for the details of their allegations to be made public, but a 3rd woman alleges Rose whispered a sexual innuendo while touching her inappropriately at a work-related event. CBS fired Rose Tuesday, one day after 8 women spoke to the Washington Post alleging sexual misconduct by the legendary broadcaster. They accused Rose of groping them and walking around naked while they were either working at his home or traveling on business. And a little bit closer to home, slick road conditions caused some traffic accidents yesterday, especially on Homestake Pass near Butte yesterday morning. Traffic was delayed on Interstate 90 just east of Butte as emergency responders cleared the scene of accidents that occurred at about 10:30 in the morning. Montana Highway Patrol was still investigating these accidents, but they told MTN News that one vehicle caught on fire after crashing into another. No injuries were reported. The Montana Highway Patrol did say that the drivers appeared to be going too fast for those road conditions. And Matt, that was one of our big mornings yesterday.
You're telling people slow down, it's slick, watch the roadways, but you know, it is kind of that winter feel. But unfortunately, we're looking at this big up and down, and that's going to continue. That's not unordinary, that's not out of the ordinary, but Thanksgiving, likely to be another warm one. So here's a look at our temperatures this morning. Right now into the 40s. There's a lot of melting going on, so there's going to be some water on the roadways. We do have some showers out to our west. I don't think that's going to be a big issue for us. You may have a few light showers west of the divide at times today, but our temperatures are going to be near 50 degrees through the afternoon. We've got a warm one for your Thanksgiving as well. Could include wind, maybe some showers for the evening. We're going to break down your complete forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. Now 6:36. Governor Steve Bullock will decide within a month who will be Montana's next Supreme Court justice. MTN's Jonathan Abarian takes a closer look at the 3 candidates he's considering.
After considering 6 applicants to fill an open seat on the Montana Supreme Court, the State Judicial Nomination Commission has selected its 3 finalists. The first is Ingrid Gustafson, a district court judge in Billings. She was originally appointed by former Governor Judy Martz in 2004. Most recently, she was part of a state commission on sentencing, which came up with proposed reforms to reduce prison populations. Mike Lamb has spent more than 35 years as an attorney in Montana. He is currently a partner with the firm Lamb & Carey in Helena, specializing in personal injury law. He has also served as director and past president of the Montana Trial Lawyers Association. The third candidate is Russ McEllier, who has served as chief judge of the Montana Water Court since 2013. Before joining the court, he spent 20 years as a lawyer in Bozeman, then 4 years as chief operating officer for the Moonlight Basin Resort in Big Sky. The 3 candidates are vying to replace Justice Mike Wheat on the Supreme Court. Wheat announced in July that he would retire at the end of the year. Governor Steve Bullock will have until December 16th to appoint one of the finalists as his replacement. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Now, whichever candidate is appointed to the court will have to run for election next year to fill those remaining 4 years of Wheat's term. In other news, local businesses and an environmental group wants to put a ban on mining next to Yellowstone National Park before the end of the year. Now, on the 1-year anniversary of the 2-year measure to withdraw public lands north of the park from mineral leasing, the group says Congress needs to pass a permanent measure to protect the landscape. The Yellowstone Gateway Act to do just that was introduced by the senior Montana Senator John Tester in April. It has the support of Senator Steve Daines and Congressman Greg Gianforte. It was also supported by Interior Secretary and former Montana Congressman Ryan Zinke.
You know, Montana's fortunate. We have a very strong congressional delegation, and we're confident that if they work together in a strong bipartisan way, that they can actually move this legislation through and it can get passed either on its own or perhaps being attached to some other must-pass legislation.
The Yellowstone Gateway Business Coalition has posted a countdown clock to the end of the year on its website as a way to spur some action.
There's over 400 businesses that have signed on to the Yellowstone Gateway Business Coalition that represent folks from all walks of life, from both sides of the political spectrum. And we are united in that we feel very strongly that gold mines around Yellowstone are not appropriate.
Lucky Minerals, the company that wants to explore for gold near the park, says it's committed to the responsible development of natural resources. The firm says that its approach to mining would have a neutral or even positive impact on local geographic areas, businesses, and communities. And the trial began yesterday for a man accused of trespassing and turning off the valve at an express pipeline in Coal Banks Landing in October of 2016. 65-year-old Leonard Higgins is facing 2 criminal charges, criminal trespassing and criminal mischief, both of which could carry a maximum penalty of 10 years and the fines up to $50,000. Defense attorney Herman Watson told jurors that they will hear from Higgins. He will be arguing that the damages done to the pipeline did not add up to $1,500, which is the felony level. Jurors heard from 3 witnesses, including 2 deputies who responded to the call and a Spectra employee as well. Evidence submitted included photos of the cut chains and locks that were placed at the valve location.
Criminal trespass is entering property without permission. Mr. Higgins has always, freely admitted that that's what he's done when he entered the pipeline valve site. Criminal mischief is a felony, and it's the state's job to prove beyond a reasonable doubt damages greater than $1,500. It's our position that they can't do that, and so not guilty is the appropriate plea.
Now, the trial resumes today, and if it doesn't wrap up by the end of the day, it will continue Wednesday of next week. And the Belgrade Chamber announces a new executive director. Christy Gee will soon take over as Debbie Youngberg retires. Belgrade Chamber says it owes Debbie a great deal of gratitude for her work in making Belgrade Chamber the great organization that it is today. It will celebrate her 32 years of service. Current Chamber President David Smith says that Gee will bring knowledge and passion as well as vision to her new post. And organizers of the free lunch program at the Knights of Columbus were a little bit more than thankful yesterday. The group held its annual Thanksgiving lunch with 16 turkeys and other food donated by the Butte Emergency Food Bank. It fed more than 140 people yesterday. The Knights of Columbus donates to this group every Tuesday and Thursday for a free community lunch. And organizers like to give thanks to the community at this time of year, which is special for their Thanksgiving meal.
Today's event went amazingly smooth. We fed a bunch of people and everybody was happy, and we are super blessed to be able to do this.
Now, organizers also thank the Knights of Columbus for making their hall available free of charge. It's a group effort. Well, we do have to take a quick break. Matt has our Thanksgiving holiday forecast for you in just a moment, but right now, a little look at your headlines right here at 7 on CBS.